views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet, with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube, and on Gary's blog, www.garybaumgarten.com, where you are invited to comment whether you agree with Gary or not. Thanks to our friends on CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated coast to coast across the United States to 12 million additional households. And thanks to Digital Sounds Barnsley and to ASI Radio and TV for syndicating and carrying our show. The next question is, am I your host or not for this show? I guess not.
That was great, Boaz. Thank you. Yeah, I was tied up on a little issue that I had to take care of, and I asked Boaz to start the show without me, and he did, and I thank him for that. Welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com. We have a couple of very interesting stories to share with you today, and I can see that Scott from Canada is all ready to get the ball rolling, and I want to thank BGRnet for going on cam, and George W. Bush, hello, Mr. President. And I better be careful what I say about you today. Sunshine and live coverage and Jetto and Bullbreed and Eddie and Bullbreed once again. Thanks for being on cam. And I want to thank Bullbreed for bringing to us earlier today the live comments that the President of the United States made about the election in Afghanistan. Now, it's interesting, Boaz, that 50 people died in violence. It was a low voter turnout, and yet the President of the United States proclaimed that it was a successful election. Boaz, roll the tape, please.
I want to say a few words about this week's election in Afghanistan. This was an important step forward in the Afghan people's efforts to take control of their future, even as violent extremists are trying to stand in their way. This election was run by the Afghan people. In fact, it was the first democratic election run by Afghans in over 3 decades. More than 30 presidential candidates and more than 3,000 provincial council candidates ran for office, including a record number of women. Some 6,000 polling stations were open around the country, and Afghan national security forces took the lead in providing security. There is a clear contrast between those who seek to control their future at the ballot box and those who kill to prevent that from happening. Once again, extremists in Afghanistan have shown themselves willing to murder innocent Muslims, men, women, and children, to advance their aims. But I believe that the future belongs to those who want to build, not those who want to destroy. And that is the future that was sought by the Afghans who went to the polls and the Afghan national security forces who protected them. The United States did not support any candidate in this election. Our only interest was the result fairly accurately reflecting the will of the Afghan people. And that is what we will continue to support as the votes are counted and we wait for the official results from the Afghan Independent Electoral Commission and the Electoral Complaints Commission.
Well, I don't know, guys. To me, that doesn't sound like a proper reflection of what really happened in Afghanistan. This sounds more like the President of the United States spinning the reality. You know, the reality is 50 people died and the turnout was low. Now, I recognize this is a marked contrast to the times before an electoral process in Afghanistan, no question about that. But can you imagine if anybody died during a presidential election in the United States? Boaz, how do you view it? To me, I'm still wondering, or I'm beginning to wonder, I shouldn't say I'm still wondering, because initially when President Bush led us into Afghanistan, it was to get Osama bin Laden and his cronies. And I'm all in favor of that. But now the president himself says, well, our mission was to ensure that they would have a peaceful and fair election. No, that's not why we went in there. And I'm beginning to wonder why we are there now.
That's a good point you make there, Gary. Well, first of all, there are two important issues to bring up here. Issue number one is, you know, once upon a time, we laughed at the former Soviet Union with their powerful army not being able to defeat the Mujahideen at the time. And we wondered what's going on. I mean, a conventional army cannot defeat the Mujahideen. Well, we know the stories behind the stories and all that. But it turns out that it's not so easy to defeat them with all our modern technology. And I think this is exactly the same issue that we're running into right now. Conventional army, the United States Armed Forces, are in Afghanistan, and they're having a hard time defeating the Taliban. Now, that's one issue. The other issue is with regards to what you brought up, Gary, to do with what are we doing in Afghanistan. Well, that mission seems to have changed, and it may have changed for a reason. Maybe President Obama has found, and this is my own speculation, of course, maybe President Obama has found that it may not be so popular to name the war in Afghanistan as the war that came as a result of 9/11/2001. Maybe he thinks that to gain popularity in what we're doing in Afghanistan, he better change the mission and make it so to show that we are trying to help another country have peaceful elections. It's a possibility. You never know with these politicians, Gary.
Sorry, I was typing a note to try to goad a few people to come on the microphone here in the virtual auditorium on Paltalk. But you know, Boaz, you mentioned the Mujahideen, which morphed into the Taliban, now our enemy. Who originally armed those folks? It was the United States of America, correct?
That's correct. We supported them. We supplied them with surface-to-air missiles and with other ammo in order to fight the Soviet Union.
You know, I'm wondering what the deal is here with the United States of America. We support people and then we turn against them. It happens all the time. Didn't we support Saddam Hussein at a certain point? Didn't we support Noriega?
When he was fighting
Didn't we support
the 8-year war between Iraq and Iran? We supported Saddam Hussein. We sent him weapons. We sent him technology. Absolutely. And then he, of course, turned against us for many reasons.
Didn't we